right, if we could get started, it's about 6:30 now. Deputy Clerk Schultheis, would you read the preamble for us, please?
Thank you, Mayor. In accordance with the applicable statutes of the State of Illinois and the ordinances of the City of Prospect Heights, notice is hereby given that the City Council Workshop hybrid meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Prospect Heights is being held on Monday, October 10, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. in person in the Council Chambers, Prospect Heights City Hall, 8 North Elmhurst Road, Prospect Heights, Illinois, and simulcast on Zoom, Acting Mayor Matthew Dolick presiding. This meeting will be broadcast live and on the following cable channels: Comcast and WOW Channel 17 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99. It will also be recorded and televised on Comcast and WOW Channel 17 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99. Attendees who wish to speak on agenda or non-agenda items will be provided an opportunity during the meeting. There's a 5-minute time limit for speakers.
All right, thank you. At this time, then, I would like to call to order the City Council Workshop hybrid meeting being held tonight, Monday, October 10th, 2022, at 6:32 p.m. At the City Council Chambers at Prospect Heights City Hall, located at 8 North Elmhurst Road in Prospect Heights. Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call to establish a quorum, please?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Dolick,
Here.
Alderman Cameron.
She is absent with prior notification.
Oh, okay. Is Pat Lovinson in tonight? I thought,
No, he as well is out this evening with prior notification.
okay, thank you. I did not realize that
That's
about
all right.
Alderman Cameron. Alderman Morgan Adams,
Here.
Alderman Dash.
Here.
All right, 3 of the 5 of us are here, so that is a quorum. And could we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance.
That's the mayor. To do stands under God, indivisible.
All right, thank you. The first item of business is the approval of minutes from the September 28th, 2022 City Council regular meeting. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Morgan Adams?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections? There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Dash,
Aye.
Alderman Dolick.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Tonight, we do have a presentation by our Police Chief, Bill Caponegro, regarding the Illinois Safety Act, Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity today, including some of the act mandates and implementation. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Caponegro.
Thank you, city staff members. And I hope you all read through the packet. I know there's a lot there, but the bill in itself has over 700 pages, actually 764 to be exact. One thing that's on there that, to your credit, Mayor and City Council, is every municipality, every police department now has to go through some departments train online. We've been training for years, even though it's not been mandated, our rapid deployment and high-risk traffic stops. We've been doing that for, I think, for the last 8-9 years. Gonna brag a little bit more so than any department around. We are ready. God forbid if that happens. I hope it never does. But we are more prepared than any other town around here. I can promise you that. So that's always been in the budget, thankfully. A couple items that we're hoping is going to change, otherwise it will affect police budget. And I'm thankful that there are some presiding judges that also have a coalition to try to fight this, and that's the mandate a 21-day maximum to go in front of a judge, whether it's a citation, driving citation, or an arrest, misdemeanor, or felony. The Fairness Act is saying that that person or persons should appear in front of a judge for that particular incident within 21 days. Just to give you an idea what that means, every officer, as far as I know in Illinois, has a different key dates. For a misdemeanor traffic, it's 1 per month. So I know in a year in advance what days I have to go to court for traffic, and for misdemeanor. For felony, it's usually 14 to 45 days. Well, now, this safety bill is saying it has to be 21 days. So if you can imagine, sometimes an officer is on duty, he goes to court. But for those who are not on duty, once per month, he or she gets overtime to go to court. Now, if you can imagine doubling your overtime just based on going to traffic court twice a month, misdemeanor court twice a month, and that's not just us, that's every police department in Illinois. Sure. All right. Okay. So that's something that the Illinois Chiefs of Police Association is trying to fight, and if you can imagine the court itself, how they will be bombarded if that does happen. Quite frankly, we had a guest judge, I won't say her name, she's saying that it just can't work. It cannot work the way it's set up today, and hopefully that'll change. Part of the mandate is there is a lot of training for officers, and we all love that idea. One thing that's still in the works that may again affect the budget, and I've been doing some research, and I do like the idea that officers do a yearly mental health check-in, and the state still hasn't figured out exactly how they're going to do that. They don't exactly know what providers to use for that. So once per year, an officer will go in. They say there's an hour, but let's face it, a lot of officers probably will say everything's fine at job, everything's fine at home, and I'm all for it. If it could save one life, it's worth it. But having said that, I've talked to some chiefs that are going to pay their officers overtime. They're going to be off, they're going to go pay their officers overtime, plus the cost to the provider, which I'm finding to be anywhere from $75 to $150 per visit. So if you multiply that times the many of officers that you have forever, that's a big increase. I have found a provider that would do it via Zoom, so I'm thinking we could probably do that while they're on duty. But I still have yet to find out from the state what the requirements are, because they have not given those as of yet. And January 1's coming up pretty quickly. So there are some things that are great on this bill, and there are some things that are great but costly, and quite frankly, there's some things that aren't so great. I think we've all heard or seen social media about no cash bail, and that would work out great too if the electronic monitoring system worked here in Cook County, but it has not worked for years, and now if you add, I'm guessing 10 times the amount of electronic monitoring, it's just, there's only a few officers that are even in that section for the county. So that's a mess in itself. I appreciate you guys, City Council, Wendy, you're part of the Northwest Municipal Conference that are advocating for changes as well, and I think the more people that can do that, I know the chiefs have that. There's some judges that are advocating to have this changed, and if there's anything that you can do politically, in your neighborhoods, calling your senators, whatever you can do to add just a little bit more common sense to this. I think it's, for the most part, it's an okay bill, especially the training part. But there are some aspects that are going to be a big hit on the budget for small towns such as ours. And I just hope for our sake that some common sense is added to this bill before it's too late. And again, it's over 700 pages. I've been researching a lot. I don't know all of the details, but I am, for the ones that are mandated, I'm on top of it. Just want you all to know that I'm on top of that. We have Sergeant Buffont, who's NIPUS. Finally, the state and NEMR, which handles all the certification for trainers, have signed off on his curriculum. And so our department is good. There's a lot of departments that don't know where they're going to get this training. They don't have the curriculum. So we're ahead of the game on that. But there's a lot that we're still hoping to change. And anybody has any questions, if I can give you the answer today, I certainly will. If not, I'll get back to you later when I find that answer.
Thank you.
Sure.
First of all, as you mentioned, this is supposed to go into effect January 1st, which is 2.5 months away.
Oh, boy.
It doesn't, sometimes we think about dates, oh, that's well into the future. That's not that far away.
No, it's
and
not.
It's going to be tough to make changes or tweak some of this. And I would ask you, as well as Joe, our attorney, anyone, would it be best to raise concerns to our other elected officials, state officials? As far as myself, I'm still trying to go through this and educate myself on this, and I've been doing that for a while now, and it's very complicated. In addition to that, because we are in a political season right now, there's a lot of vague, sometimes even misinformation that are in political ads. So this is a lot of work to try and make these changes in just 2.5 months. I don't know if anyone has any other comments or suggestions, but please go ahead.
I just want to say that the City of Prospect Heights has submitted, and again, thank you to Chief Caponegro for assisting us in putting together and outlining the changes that the city is looking to see happen that would help all the municipalities, actually.
Sure.
And on the council, the Northwest Municipal Council, we're working on that. Our meeting is coming up this month, and we're also, there are some Senate bills and House bills that have been submitted that also reflect some of these changes. But the fact that we're submitting things for the Northwest Municipal Legislative Committee to be pursuing and for our lobbyists to be pursuing is very helpful, because
Yes.
it gets to our legislators, and it makes clear the position of our municipalities, and it gives us the ability to try to pursue these changes in the short time that we have. I don't know if, Jody, do you want to add anything to that?
I think you covered it.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
So thank you, and thank you again, Bill.
Sure.
Really, Chief Caponegro, for helping us come up with, all the things that we talked about for our submissions to the committee. Thank you.
I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Chief Caponegro, could you please expand on what hasn't been working? I'm trying to educate myself on this too, with the electronic bracelets. There's many
Yeah.
house arrests. What's going on?
Well, for one, when you're on electronic monitoring, years ago, you went straight home, or whatever that box is to, attached to your bracelet. You have a certain amount of yards you can travel outside of. For instance, if you were out in front of your house, you'd be okay, but as soon as you traveled outside, I can't give you the exact yardage. Cook County would be calling you and saying, put so-and-so on the phone right now, and you literally had one chance, and then they'd come and get you. Well, now you have, I think it's 72 hours. Once you've been placed on electronic monitoring, you can really go out, you can do anything you want with it in 72 hours. So think about that. You've been arrested, you are now on electronic monitoring, but they don't monitor you for the first 72 hours. So you've gotten a break by getting on electronic monitoring, and you've gotten another break by doing whatever you want for the next 72 hours. And because Cook County has just a certain amount of officers or sheriffs in that electronic monitoring section, now with this no cash bail, more and more people are going to be on electronic monitoring. And as I stated earlier, if they couldn't handle it then, oh my goodness, they're certainly not going to handle what's coming after January 1. they're going to be bombarded, and they're not going to be able. That's not my words. That's many of the Cook County sheriffs that I know, and that's what the Illinois Chiefs of Police Association is wondering themselves. How are you all going to be able to handle the amount of electronic monitoring that's going to be coming here very shortly?
So Illinois has the 72 hours. Is that the same throughout all the states, or is it
Well,
Illinois?
I'm just right now speaking for Cook County. I think other counties handle their electronic monitoring programs a lot better. But I'm just specifically speaking for that. Although Illinois itself, that's going to be in every county, Illinois, they will, with the no cash bail, more and more people will be placed on electronic monitoring. And so hopefully the other counties are prepared. Cook County will not be prepared.
So we're hoping the judges make a good decision when it comes to that 21-day trial.
Yes. Well, not just the 21-day, but the no cash.
Mhm,
Right
that
now,
too, right.
That's
They will assess the severity of each person.
sure.
It's dangerous. Okay, thank you so much.
But I just want to add, but having said that, there are certain crimes that you will have to face a judge for your bond. And after January 1st, a lot of those are no longer, they no longer apply. Some you'll get your day in court within that 21 days. But as of January 1st, there's a lot of those crimes that I'm sure a lot of people have seen on social media. They no longer require a bond hearing on the day of or the next day after you being arrested. Officers will cite them with a ticket and give them their court date. That's another big
Which is
change.
still, yeah.
All right, and just for clarification, judges do have a certain degree of discretion in handling cases. Is that correct?
Yes. However, remember now, with the no cash bail, all felonies, most felonies, you will have to go to the judge immediately for a bond hearing. So you'll be arrested and you'll go face the judge probably within 24 hours. Now, some misdemeanor offenses, serious ones too, by the way, will no longer we won't even be able to arrest them. We'll give them a ticket on the spot, like the trespass, criminal trespass. We may not even get them to leave because we can't forcefully remove them according to the Safety Act on January 1. So hopefully they'll take a look at that and realize that if I can't make, as a police officer, if I can't make somebody leave a premise or a business, well, now I'm leaving into the hands of a business owner or employees or residents to handle it on their own. And that's never a good thing when they're forced to do that.
I think one of the other things was that we were trying to distinguish is that the judges, their hands are tied too, because they can't, they have to determine whether the person is a danger to the community, and they can't look at, if they, for example, if they, we're trying to change this, but one of the things that we're trying to change is they want the judges to be able to look at whether these people have skipped bond before, have not shown up for court, have had prior, problems in terms of complying with these rules. But now they're saying that they can't use those past conduct in determining whether they're a danger to the society or the community, or whether they are not going to be able to comply, which we want to change, because obviously past conduct does impact on current conduct. So again, and the judge's ability to be able to determine that whether these people are a danger to the community is also limited in many respects. I would not to be able to discuss the whole reasons for that today, but it's a problem. We need to make revisions to the act on that, in that area as well.
Yes, for instance, they're saying that somebody misses court. I heard this on a Zoom meeting. If somebody misses court, how do you determine whether they're skipping out or they just missed court?
Right. That's another area.
And,
right.
and when they go to court, I don't suppose they may lie, like, well, yeah, my car broke down, when realistically they just didn't want to come.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons people say they miss court, but somehow or another, if you have a court date, you need to go. And they're not going to be issuing warrants for most cases like they used to.
Yeah.
So if you don't show up, a warrant it's going to be far and few between to give a warrant for a misdemeanor. That's part of the Fairness Act, that they don't want to do that.
Sounds like January will bring more amendments. I'm sure things will have to get tweaked.
Hope so.
Right.
All right. Anyone else? Alderman Dash, do you have any comments or questions? All right. Once again, thank you, Chief, for your presentation. This is a complicated issue, and I certainly appreciate Alderman Morgan Adams, your work with this, along with Joe, and hopefully we can bring about our concerns and hopefully tweak this in the next 2.5 months. But unless anyone has any other comments, thank you again, Chief.
Thank you.
Moving on, there are no appointments or confirmations. Public comments on agenda matters. City Clerk, has anyone registered, or does anyone online wish to speak?
I don't have anyone registered, but as the mayor asked, please, if there's anyone who wants to speak.
All right, moving on, there is no consent agenda and there is no old business. Item 9, new business. Item 9A, staff memo and resolution authorizing intergovernmental agreement with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and Cook County regarding Willow Road flood control project. Joe, if you would like to expand on this for us.
Sure, thank you. This is a project that the city has worked on for a few years now with Metropolitan Water Reclamation District and Cook County Department of Transportation. It's related to a program that MWRD started several years ago, and the city applied for a grant, a competitive process. The city was awarded the opportunity. MWRD has already paid for the preliminary engineering. And I think most of the people on the council are familiar with it because we've had meetings. We had the ad hoc Willow Road Committee meeting. We also had a survey of area residents. Originally, the project also entailed raising the elevation of Hillcrest, or I'm sorry, Hillcrest Drive or Avenue. I'm sorry, I forget. I'm going blank on that. And those residents.
Right.
Okay.
Hillcrest Drive.
Those residents opted out, so now it's just to raise the elevation of Willow Road 2 to 4 feet, and also raise Owen Street about 18 inches. And the engineers have done quite a bit of modeling on this as to how we can increase the durability of that street with 100-year or lesser events. A couple of years ago, I think in 2020, that road, Willow Road, was closed for 8 days. So it's one of our connecting streets in the area. It's also a concern about public safety. Over time, at different years, the city lost 2 police cars in there. If you go through there, your first responder at night, you can't tell whether the street is flooded 6 inches or 4 feet. So it's a problem. And that the council has authorized us to move forward with this project, so it is in gear. But the agreement that's on tonight's agenda formalizes it. I want to, with the proviso that legal is going to take another look at it, and we also have to plug in some property description information. We recently, thankfully, kudos to both our Redeemer Lutheran Church and the Prospect Heights Park District for utilizing their land for a compensatory stormwater area. which is necessary for this project. We will be coming back to you with a easement agreement with both agencies. To give you a sense of the cost for this, about $1.8 million of it is funded from MWRD. About $800,000 is funded from Cook County Department of Transportation, and a little less than $600,000 is funded by the City of Prospect Heights. 2023 will be a big year for engineering, the design engineering, and also the permitting work. It has to be reviewed by the appropriate agencies, Illinois Department of Natural Resources and MWRD, my understanding, as well as Cook County Department of Transportation. However, with our schedule, and it's all subject to change, but we're looking at starting the project and completing the project in 2024. So next year will be primarily design and permitting, and 2024 will be the actual construction.
All right, thank you, Joe. Could I begin with a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and it's my understanding that if this is approved, it's pending legal counsel's address of any language or corrections.
Correct. That's correct.
We do have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or any other questions for Joe?
I just, maybe this is more a question to legal counsel, but on page 11 of the intergovernmental agreement, Article 7, 8, 9 talk about termination, first by the city, then by the NWRDGC, and termination by the county. And it's really broad. It doesn't say you have to have what kind of reason it is or on what basis you would terminate. It just gives just a flat out, bold-faced, vague. It doesn't give any reason. Just say that either the city can terminate with a certain notice, or MWRDGC, or the county can terminate. So I don't know how legal feels about that, but maybe we do want it to be that broad.
I can address that. That's
Okay.
actually was the city's request. The concern was, and we started this before the commodities problem and COVID and all those intervening variables. But the city asked for that so that there would be an off-ramp to the project. If we came back after bidding and this was, beyond what we can afford or what we're willing to pay, it would be an off-ramp for that. And that's primarily our concern. But MWRD and Cook County also share that. That doesn't mean if there are avenues to address that if we come back and the bids are too high. Sometimes it's just the economic climate, and maybe if you wait 6 months or a year, it's a different market. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that maybe instead of designing this to a 100-year stormwater event, we design it to a 75-year stormwater event. So there are things that we can come back with, but basically that it is broad. It's for a purpose. It's so all three agencies have an off-ramp. However, we've been in good communication with MWD, Cook County. Everybody wants to do this project, and it's my understanding that when we applied for it, Cook County is the size of Ireland or New Zealand, so you can imagine there's applications from all over the county, but Prospect Heights made the first round. So certainly MWRD sees this as a valuable project and a prioritized project. Nevertheless, we did ask for off-ramp language so we wouldn't get brought into this, even if if the costs exceed what we're able to afford.
Can you can you help us to understand? I understand why we want the broad language. I'm not so worried. I can see why we would need it. I'm not sure I understand. Well, I guess the county and the MWRD would have the same issues in some respects. But if this was a change to a 75-year as opposed to a 100-year, I guess this is something that we would have to have another agreement, or we'd have to.
We would address that, certainly that would come back to the council.
Okay.
That's kind of the value engineering response.
Okay.
If the prices are so high that we can't afford a 100-year event, that doesn't mean that you don't want to sacrifice the good for the perfect.
Right,
So that's why we left that option open.
okay.
Right, any other comments or questions? There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman,
You.
Alderman,
cut out. You're cutting out. Alderman.
okay. Alderman, can you hear me?
We can now, yes, thank you.
now.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Dash. Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
okay.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0. Item 9B, on a related note, staff memo and resolution authorizing agreement with Walt Hamilton and Associates regarding design and construction engineering services for the Willow Road Flood Control Project. I believe you addressed this, Joe, but do you have any other comments? This is just for the engineering portion of it that we start off with.
We're recommending Gawalt Hamilton. They're the city's engineer, and they are the most familiar with this project because they've worked very closely with MWRD and Cook County since the beginning through the preliminary stages. They were extremely instrumental in our ability to obtain the compensatory stormwater area. MWRD and Cook County are comfortable with them because to come on board as the city engineer, they had to complete a quality-based selection process when the city selected them as city engineer. So the recommendation is a contract award for approximately $205,000 for the design engineering services.
All right, thank you, Joe. Could I have a motion to approve item 9B?
So moved. Morgan Adams?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Dash,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Dolick.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Item 9C, staff memo and resolution requesting city council direction and authorization for interfund transfers. I believe this has to do with the delay in the tax revenues coming in, so we may have to kind of borrow from ourselves, but I'll let you explain further, Joe.
That's exactly, thank you for the setup. It's related, as I think everyone is aware, that the property tax bills are going to come, they're going to go out late to the taxpayers. They're going to be late as far as the distributions to go to the taxing districts. We anticipate them maybe about February or so. So basically, we have a cash flow problem. And in that time, we have two bond payments to make. One is a payment for the road bond, and the other is for the Lake Claire Special Service Area. So rather than going out on a short-term loan, which in case there's financing costs as well as loan setup costs, the city has the money available in reserves. That's why we have reserves for situations like this. So again, it's a cash flow problem. We're asking council authorization to advance the money from the general fund reserves to pay for the debt service.
All right, thank you. First, could I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. It's open for discussion. I just had one quick question. I like the idea of borrowing from ourselves in a sense, but does it put us at any kind of a risk if something should happen? Could we still borrow to cover something that unforeseen comes up before we see this revenue come in February, or what options do we have?
We did evaluate that. You're correct. That would be a concern if doing this would leave us broke. So,
Cash crunch, yeah.
right, creating another cash flow problem. We are comfortable with that. We're comfortable with it because of the reserves beyond that we have. And also, we're comfortable because we see this as a short-term issue.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions, concerns?
No.
There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Dash,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Doig.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Item 9D, staff memo and resolution authorizing approval of police squad vehicle, a 2023 Dodge Durango, purchased through McHenry County Purchasing Cooperative from Sunnyside Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Mopar. Before we take action on this, Chief Caponegro, did you have anything you wanted to add, or is this replacing the Tahoe that we have that's usually a sergeant's car? Can you just explain this a little bit?
That is going to, that's going to replace one of the older detective cars. And the one that they have now would go over to somebody in the city staff or building engineering. So this is going to be coming in closer to 2024. But we've learned from last year to get the orders in very early. We have 2 Ford Explorers coming in December for 2022-23 budget. And so this one would be coming, I would imagine, not for another 8 months. Yeah. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game here and try to get ours in. And the first year we'll be using a Dodge. The first few years were not very good, but after researching many departments, they really have done very well with their Dodge Durangos. So it's going to be our first Durango.
Okay, all right, thank you. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Morgan Adams.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions or discussion on this? There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Doig,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item is staff and elected officials and commission reports. We have no official reports, but I'll go through the list of who is here. I'll start with Ward 3, Alderman Wendy Morgan Adams.
I have no other report tonight other than what I've already talked about.
Thank you. Ward 4, Danielle Dash.
No report.
Thank you. The only thing I have to report is a reminder to people that Alderman Cameron and myself will be out of town next week attending the National Business Aircraft Association convention in Florida. We will be attending with the Airport Board of Directors and other staff there. There may be a representative from the Village of Wheeling as well, but this is something that we try to get as much information as we can about issues with our airport. It's a fairly busy airport. We try to learn as much as we can about noise attenuation, newer aircraft that might be newer technology. So when we return, we'll have a brief report for you. City Treasurer Rich Tibbetts.
No report, Mayor.
City Clerk Joanna Persiasniuk.
No report, Mayor.
City Administrator Joe Wade.
Just want to advise council, a little over a week ago, that Prospect Heights received at one of our hotels, the Ramada Inn, just a little under 200 Venezuelan asylum seekers. Mostly are families. The ones that really most quickly were responsive, very impressive, was District 21 and 214. They set up registration and enrollment extremely fast. Kudos to them. In fact, those students have already started. The city's also working with a number of the service agencies in the area. They stepped up with the River Cities Rotary Club, as well as the Arlington Heights Rotary Club and Palatine Rotary Club. Police department has been very helpful with socializing the individuals, and Prospect Heights Park District, even though it's not within their boundaries, also assisted with some equipment. You've got a number of children and young people with quite a bit of time. We're anticipating a city, we don't know, but at least we're preparing for these individuals to stay there for 5 or 6 months. We're also coordinating with the local library district, River Trails Library, meeting with them this week. So it's not to make too much of a big deal. The large work of it, I think, is really being done by the school districts to absorb people, and they've just done a fantastic job.
They have, thank you. Assistant City Administrator Peter Falcone.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Assistant Finance Director Bob Tannehill.
No report tonight.
Director of Building Development Dan Peterson.
Thank you very much, Mayor Dolick and City Council. Quick update, you've probably noticed if you've been driving on Willow Road through Ward 4 that there's been a lot of infrastructure work going on by NICOR. That's their Investing in Illinois Systems Upgrade project by NICOR. We got news today that they will be adding another phase that will be starting shortly, and that will be the gas service main will be replaced starting at Willow Road to the north, running all the way south down to Camp McDonald. This will be similar to what we've seen on Willow Road and in the neighborhoods south of Willow. However, because it's a state highway, they've got some potential for other traffic lane blockages, short-term, those types of things. So I wanted people to know that that will be coming up here shortly. We issued the permit today. So other than that, no other reports.
All right, thank you, sir. Public Works Director Mark Roscoe.
No report tonight, sir. Thank you.
Police Chief Bill Caponegro.
No report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Deputy Clerk Karen Schulteis.
No report, Mayor.
Attorney Jim Hess.
No report, Mayor.
And Digital Communications Technician Patrick Colvin.
No report, Mayor.
All right, thank you, everyone. Brings us to discussion topic ideas for the workshop meeting. This is a workshop meeting, and what was on the agenda is the review of the city liquor code. This is something that Alderman Ludvigson has been working on, but due to a prior business commitment, he could not attend tonight's meeting, so we are going to postpone this until the November meeting. But we will address it then. That brings us to the approval of warrants. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our total for the warrants amounted to $228,439.07. We had a wire payment on September 23rd, 2022 payroll amounted to $183,939.03, which brings the total warrant amount to $412,378.10 for tonight's council's approval, please.
And could I have a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Are there any corrections? There being none, could I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Public comments on non-agenda matters. Madam Clerk, is anyone registered, or is there anyone that wishes to speak?
No one has been registered. Thank you, Mayor. Please, if anyone would like to speak, please come forward.
All right, thank you. There is no executive session this evening, and so that brings us to adjournment. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make, sorry, second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that brings a close to the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. We are adjourned. Good night.
Thank you.